Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my brothers and sisters. So I'm finally back. I've missed you a lot. I've missed recording lessons for you. It's been 2 weeks since I recorded and uploaded the last lesson of Arabic language. Then I had my final exams in the Institute of Arabic Language, and I'm glad to say that I've passed all of them. And therefore I'm about to graduate from the Institute and enter the faculty of the Islamic University. I'll probably make a video about my experience of studying in the Institute, but for now I'm getting back to this project of recording Arabic lessons. I'm also getting back to the project of documentaries. As I've told you before that I'm making a documentary about the College of Prophets Mosque. Maybe tomorrow or maybe even today I will upload a short introductory film of this college. And I'm also having a meeting with the administration of this college tomorrow, where they will provide me with the required information so I could make this documentary informative and of a good quality. Yeah, so I'm getting back to these projects also, but for now let's keep going with our Arabic lessons, with learning and studying the Arabic language. So today is Ad-Dars al-Ashir. Accordingly to the book, it's Ad-Dars al-Ashir, or the 10th lesson. Before we get started with this lesson, as usually, let's quickly recap what we learned in the previous lesson. Well, the previous lesson was dedicated to the section Ba, or B, where we learned some new stuff. Like firstly, we learned this pronoun, relative pronoun alladhi, and we said that if we refer to a human being, then we translated this alladhi as who. Like man ذلك الرجل الطويل الذي, who is that tall man who خرج الآن من المدرسة, who went out or got out or came out of the school. So this is a relative pronoun, which means who if we refer to a human being, but if we refer to an animal or some objects, we say we translate it as that or which. Yeah, and there were examples. You'll find them in this lesson. And we also learned that this lam, when it's added to a word that has alif lam, it makes this alif disappear. So first it was at-talib, but once we added this lam, this alif just disappeared, it just vanished, let's say. So it's lit-talib. That's a rule of the Arabic language. Why is it so? Just because Arabs decided this to be so, and it's their language, and we are not we're not teaching them their language. They are teaching us their language, and therefore we just take it as it is. They just decided that this alif should be disappeared. And we also learned this word. Well, we learned this word عند. هو عند المدير. We said that this عند is translated as with. He is with the headmaster. هو عند المدير. He is with the headmaster. So that's basically everything what we learned in the previous lesson, and of course we worked on it by doing exercises. There are only 3 of them, not that many exercises, and now we are alhamdulillah, we are on our 10th lesson accordingly to the book, but accordingly to our number, it's the 15th lesson. So yeah, let's get started. This lesson is very, very saturated with new rules. It's juicy, so probably we'll just take this dialogue, and that will be it, because there are so many rules in this dialogue, and they are all, of course, of great importance. So be focused. So it starts with the full-fledged dialogue between Hamid and Muhammad. Hamid says, Man anta? Who are you? Just like me the other day, when a student mistakenly entered my room at 2 a.m. and I was getting out from my bed and was like, "Man ante." It's funny because he just entered my room and woke me up at 2 a.m. So yeah, it happens. Man ante, it means who are you? And Muhammad says أنا طالب بالجامعة. طالب بالجامعة. So I am a student at the university. This ba is something new for us. Let's take a look what it means. Well, it means at or in. Here it is. بالجامعة, at the university. Ba is a preposition meaning at or in. For example, you can hear this saying here in the Islamic University, الجامعة الإسلامية بالمدينة المنورة. The Islamic University at Madinah al-Munawwara. Al-Munawwara you can translate it as luminous. At luminous Medina. Yeah, that's how it's translated. So بالجامعة, it means at or in. أنا طالب, I am a student, بالجامعة, at the university. That's what it means. Hamid asks, أأنت طالب جديد? Are you a new student? And Muhammad says, نعم أنا طالب جديد. Yes, I'm a new student. Well, so far it's all familiar for us. And Hamid says, من أين أنت? Where are you from? أنا من الهند. I am from India. And Hamid says, ما اسمك? What's your name? Well, this ka is called a possessive pronoun. We are introduced to 4 possessive pronouns in this explanation book, but there are more of them. But first let's take a look at these pronouns. Well, kitab, it means book. Kitabun, it means book. But if you want to say your book, this your is conveyed in these pronouns. It is possessive pronouns. Kitabu ka. Kitabu ka. Or if you want to say his book, you say kitabu hu. You use these possessive pronouns. If you want to say her book, kitabu ha. Kitabu ha. Kitabu ha. Or if you want to say that it's my book or just my book, kitabi, kitabi. These pronouns are not full-fledged words. They're like suffixes attached to the nouns. Yeah, that's how it works. So if you want to say your book, you say kitabuka, kitabuka. If you want to say your car, you say sayaratuka, sayaratuka. Sayaratun, it's a car, it means car. Your car, sayaratuka. You see, this word, it doesn't have tanween. Kitabun, it has tanween, but once we add this possessive pronoun, tanween just goes away. Kitabuka. Because you remember what is mudaf and mudafun ilayh. You must remember that. Once we added this ka, this kitabu, it becomes mudaf, and ka mudafun ilayh. So mudafun ilayh, they are both in one word. Kitabu, mudaf, it's something that's possessed. Kitabu, well, it's something that's possessed. Ka, it's the person who possesses it. And as we said, that mudaf never takes tanween, and neither does it take alif lam. So you see, this tanween just went away because it became mudaf. Kitabu ka. You can't say kitabun ka. Kitabun ka, that's a mistake. Yeah, and as I've said earlier, that there are more possessive pronouns. There are only 4 of them, but you will learn them in the future, inshaAllah. So far, it's enough. What does it say here? Well, let's keep going with the dialogue and then we'll get to the rest of the rules. So he asks, Masmuka. Masmuka. What is your name? And you remember that this alif called Hamzatul Wasl, and if it's preceded by a word, it's not pronounced. So we are not saying Ma ismuka, but we would rather say Masmuka. Masmuka. And Muhammad says, Ismi Muhammad. Ismi Muhammad. Another possessive pronoun, which means my names. If you add ka with fatha, it means your, but if you add ya with sukun, then it means my name. Ismi Muhammadun. Hamid says, وَمَنْ هَذَا الْفَتَى الَّذِي مَعَكَ. But if you say it, without making any pause, you say وَمَنْ هَذَا الْفَتَى الَّذِي مَعَكَ, because it's Hamzatul Wasl, it's preceded by a word. وَمَنْ هَذَا الْفَتَى الَّذِي مَعَكَ. That's how it's pronounced. And what it means, he says, and who is this guy? Who is this guy who is with you? Ma'aka. Well, ma'aka, again, it's a new word for you. Ma'a. Ma'a, it means with. Ma'a means with. Well, as we said earlier, inda also means with. But what's the difference between ma'a and inda? Well, there is a difference. When you say al-mudarrisu inda al-mudiri, it means that the teacher has gone to the headmaster's office and he is with him there. When you say al-mudarris inda al-mudir, it means that al-mudarris, he went to the place of al-mudir and he is therefore with him. But if you say al-mudarrisu ma'al-mudiri, it doesn't have this restriction. He can be with the headmaster anywhere. He can be with the headmaster anywhere. And let's take a look here. وَمَنْ هَذَا الْفَتَى الَّذِي مَعَكَ. And who is this guy who is with you? Who is with you? Ma'a, it means with. Ka, it's a possessive pronoun. Ma'aka, with you. Muhammad says, Huwa zamili. He is my classmate, probably. Zamilun is translated as a classmate. And sometimes it's just translated as a peer, but mostly as a classmate. Hamid asks, Ahuwa aydan min al-Hindi? Is he also from India? Muhammad says, La, huwa min al-Yabani. No, he's from Japan. Hamid asks, Masmuhu. Masmuhu. Well, this time we use a different possessive pronoun, hu. It means his. What is his name? Well, you have to memorize these pronouns, these possessive pronouns, because they are used everywhere, at any time, and you must know them perfectly well. And Muhammad says, Ismuhu Hamzatu. Ismuhu Hamzatu. His name is Hamza. And as you can see, this Hamzatu has Dhamma without tanween in the end. And why is it so? Because, well, I think they have an explanation. If they don't have it, I will explain it. Here it is. We have learned that feminine proper nouns have no tanween. Yeah, like Aminatu, Maryamu. And likewise, masculine proper nouns with ta marbuta ending also have no tanween, like Hamzatu, Usamatu, Muawiyatu, because they have ta marbuta in the end, and names or asma, ism, that has ta marbuta in the end, they look like feminine words, like they have feminine, let's say, properties. But Hamza, it's a man's name, and therefore it kind of looks like a feminine word, but in reality it's masculine. But just because it looks like feminine, it doesn't have tanween. This rule that feminine proper nouns have no tanween is also applied to a man's name that has ta marbuta in the end. So if you see a man's name with ta marbuta in the end, you don't add tanween, because this rule is also applied to these names, just because they have ta marbuta in the end. So Hamzatu, Usamatu, Muawiyatu, and so on and so forth. And here we have Hamzatu. Ismuhu Hamzatu. Hamid says, Ma lughatuka ya Muhammadu. What is your language? Ka, it means your. Like kitabuka, your book. Lughatuka, your language. What's your language, O Muhammad? And Muhammad says, Lughati al-Urdiyatu. My language is Urdu. Lughati, possessive pronoun. Ahiya lughatun sahlatun. Is it an easy language? And Muhammad answers, Na'am, hiya lughatun sahlatun. Yes, this is an easy language. Hamid asks, Wa Hamzatu, ma lughatuhu? And Hamza, what is his language? Well, so far we just apply the rules that we learned in this lesson. Lughatuhu al-yabaniyatu. His language is Japanese. وهي لغة صعبة. And this is a hard language. Yeah, that's true. As I've heard that Japanese language is considered to be one of the hardest languages in the world, just like Chinese and Korean, and also they put the Arabic language into this category. Well, I don't agree with that. The Arabic language is hard, but not that hard as it seems to people sometimes. It's not that hard, believe me. Inshallah, you will see that, and you will get to the same conclusion, inshallah. So Hamid says, Aina abuka ya Muhammad? And here you can see something that might look for you controversial, like abuka. Well, you learned that abun, it means father, and it's written like this, abun, right? It means father. But in this sentence you see that this waw came out from nowhere. Why is it so? Well, I got to say that there are no words in the Arabic language that has less than 3 letters. 3 letters in one word is the least. And in one word I mean not prepositions, but I mean ism, like nouns. But when you see words like this, you have to know that originally they weren't in this form. Originally they had 3 letters. A, bun. That's its original form. But over time, as it was used a lot, they just took away this waw, and it became abun. But in reality, it used to be like this, abun. That's the original form. And therefore, then when this word abun becomes mudaf, as we said, abu ka, abu, it's something that's possessed, ka, it's the possessor, this waw, this original waw, gets back. Abuka, aina abuka. Just like here, as it says here, the word for father is abun, and for brother, akhun. You can see only two letters, but that's not the reality. In reality, it used to be abun wa akhun. An extra waw has to be added between the mudaf and the mudafun ilayh. In the same way, his father is not abuhu, but abuhu, abuka. But don't worry about it. Well, these words like abun, akhun, where original letters just disappeared or vanished over the time, the number of these words is not high. There are only five nouns like this, abun, akhun. For now, you are introduced to only 2 of these 5 nouns, which are abun, akhun, and for now that's enough for you. For example, they have more sentences to show you, like baytu Muhammadin. Well, it's mudaf and mudafun ilayh. But if you put abu instead of bayt, it's put in the position of mudaf, and this waw gets back. Abu Muhammadin. You can't say just Abu Muhammadin. You have to add this waw, Abu Muhammadin. Just like here, Aina abuka ya Muhammad. Well, that's the rule for 5 nouns. You are introduced to 2 of these 5 nouns so far, abun wa akhun, and you learn the rest. You'll learn other 3 in the future, inshaAllah. So for now, just know that if you have a word abun or akhun and it's in the position of mudaf, something that's possessed, therefore you have to get back or put back this waw. Aina abuka ya Muhammadu. So I said this lesson is very saturated with new rules, so stay focused, and it's hard sometimes, but don't forget that it's an act of worship. Learning the Arabic language is an act of worship, so be strong in this path. If you face some difficulties like this, well, don't be afraid, you will be rewarded inshaAllah. Muhammad says, Abi fil Kuwaiti huwa tabibun shahirun. My father is in Kuwait. He is a famous doctor. He is a famous doctor. Abi, my father. You might ask, well, in this case, it's mudaf ilayh, but why waw is not added? Well, as it says here, an extra waw has to be added between the mudaf and mudaf ilayh, right? But why is it not added? Well, because there is an exception. In the exception, my father and my mother have no extra waw if we use this possessive pronoun ya. You see, if we use a possessive pronoun ka, it's added, abu ka, abuhu. But when we use a possessive pronoun ya, it's not added, abi, akhi. That's how it is, and therefore this waw is not added in this sentence. Abi fil Kuwaiti huwa tabibun shahir. Hamidun says, wa aina ummuka? And where is your mom? Where is your mother? Well, a mother, it has 3 letters. Ummun. You see, the first letter is alif, hamzatul qata'. The second letter is mim, and the third letter is also mim, because it's shadda. Shadda, it means that there are 2 mims in this mim. So it's not from the category of abun, akhun. It has 3 letters, and none of these letters never disappeared. So وَأَيْنَ أُمُّكَ, and therefore when you say أُمُّهُ, you say أُمُّهُ. You don't need to add anything, because nothing was taken from here. Abun, 2 letters, this waw was just taken away, but in case of ummun, this rule doesn't work, because it has 3 letters, alif, mim, mim, and therefore we don't add anything. Ummuhu, that's it. So wa ayna ummuka? Muhammad says هي أيضا في الكويت مع أبي. هي مدرسة هناك. She is also in Kuwait with my dad, with my father. مع أبي. And هي مدرسة هناك. She is a teacher there. Yeah. So Hamid says أذهبت إلى الكويت يا محمد. Did you go, or have you gone to Kuwait يا محمد? And ذهبت. Well, we learned this verb as it was ذهب, and it meant he went out. But in this case, it's not ذهب, it's ذهبت. Why is it so? Let's take a look here. We have learned ذهب, it means he went. Now we learned ذهبت, you went, masculine singular, and ذهبت, I went. You see, ذهبت. So ذهبت وذهبت. أذهبت إلى المدرسة اليوم? Did you go to the school today? You see, this ذهبت, it already implies that you go. If you have this ذهب, it already implies that he went. If you have this ذهبت, it implies I went. Because of different forms of this ta, or whether it's lacking or not, you know which pronoun is implied. If you see a word ذهب, you know that he is implied. If you see this ta with fatha and this ba with sukun, you know that you is implied. You went. ذهبت, you went. If you see this ba with sukun and ta with dhamma, not fatha but dhamma, it means I went. And that's how it works in the Arabic language. And there are more of them. I want to show you a picture. If you want to say, for example, he went, you find a pronoun he, which huwa, and it says ذهب. If you want to say I went, you find a pronoun I, ana, and you see that the form for its verb is ذهبت. Ba takes sukun, and we add ta with dhamma. ذهبت. If you want to say you went out, and by you mean a masculine person, you say أنت ذهبت. أنت ذهبت. You see, أنت ذهبت. If you want to say she went out, she is translated as here. Here it is, here. Therefore you have to say ذهبت. The form for she, the form of the verb for she is ذهبت. We add this ta with sukun. So that's how it works in the Arabic language. I know it's a bit hard for people who speak English because you don't have these endings, and I understand that, I perfectly understand that, but in the Arabic language it's different, and not just in the Arabic language, that's how it is in many languages, in Russian, in Kazakh, but in Arabic, in English language, it's different. So we have to get used to this. And in regard of this table, you might memorize all of this table. I will put a link in the description of this video to this picture, or you can get enough of only these 3 forms, like ذهب, ذهبت, وذهبت, and the rest of the forms. They will we will have them in the future, so don't worry. So you might memorize them right now, like أنا ذهبت, نحن ذهبنا, أنت ذهبت, أنت ذهبتي, أنتما ذهبتما, أنتم ذهبتم, like that. Or you may just wait until they come over in the future. So it's up to you. I'm not insisting on anything. So in this case we have أذهبت إلى الكويت يا محمد, and by this ذهبت, you is implied. You is implied in this ذهبت. نعم ذهبت, it means yes, I went. So he asked Muhammad, have you gone to Kuwait, ya Muhammad? And he said, yes, I have gone there. And Hamid asks, وَزَمِيلُكَ أَيْنَ أَبُوهُ? And your classmate, where is his father? You see 2 possessive pronouns, زَمِيلُكَ, أَبُوهُ. And this waw is getting back because it's mudaf. Because it's mudaf, and originally this word abun, it had waw in the beginning. So many rules that we have to apply in these sentences. But alhamdulillah, we have our exercises, so you will be able to work on these rules. Don't worry about it. And Muhammad says, أبوه في اليابان. His father is in Japan. هو تاجر كبير. He is a big merchant. And here we have a new rule. ألك أخ يا محمد. ألك أخ. He asked, do you have a brother, or Muhammad? Do you have a brother, or Muhammad? Let's take a look here. The 4th note. We have already learned the preposition li, meaning belonging to. When it's attached to the pronouns, it takes fatha. So it's not alika, elika, it's laka, because it's attached to the pronouns. And laka, it means belonging to you. Lahu, belonging to him. Laha, belonging to her. Li, belonging to me. Li. We've learned these possessive pronouns in the 1st note. Laka, lahu, laha, li. And it means I have. I have. Li akhun, I have a brother. And he asks, Alaka akhun ya Muhammad, do you have a brother, O Muhammad? And also we have another example, li famun. Well, famun, just like akhun, abun, it's one of 5 nouns that originally had a 3rd letter, but then it disappeared. But once it's mudaf, this disappeared letter gets back. So don't be surprised that this word has only 2 letters. It originally had 3 letters, just like akhun wa abun. So li akhun, I have a brother. Li famun, I have a mouth. Famun, it means mouth. But it's wrong to say عندي famun or عندي akhun, because عند is used with things which are separable, and relations and parts of the body are not of this nature. Yeah, this is a feature of the Arabic language. In English, there is no such feature. You just say, I have a brother, I have a book. You just say, I have. But in the Arabic language, you use either li or inda. Inda is used with things which are separable, and li is used for something that's not separable. For example, relations. You have a brother, you have this blood relation, you can't get rid of this, and therefore li akhun. Or you have a mouth, you can't you can't just take your mouth and put it away. It's not separable, and therefore you say li famun. And in this case you say alaka akhun ya Muhammad, do you have a brother, or Muhammad? And Muhammad says na'am li akhun wahidun, yes, I have one. Wahid, it means one brother. Yes, I have one brother. That's what Muhammad says. Ismuhu Usamatu, his name is Usama. وهو معي هنا في المدينة المنورة, and he is with me here in the luminous Medina. Well, في المدينة المنورة, I don't know why it has fatha in the end. That's a mistake. في المدينة المنورة. ولي أخت واحدة اسمها زينب, and I have one sister, because sister is feminine, therefore واحدة has also ta marbuta in the end, because as we said, na'at follows man'ut, so this quality follows something that's described with this quality. Ukhtun is feminine, and therefore it's not is also feminine, and we add this ta marbuta. We learned this in the previous lesson in the section alif, in the 9th lesson, section alif. Ismuha Zainabu, her name is Zainab. وهي في العراق مع زوجها, and she is in Iraq with her husband. زوج, husband. زوجها مهندس, her husband is an engineer. أعندك سيارة يا أخي, do you have a car يا أخي? أخي, my brother, oh my brother. Do you have a car, oh my brother? And you see سيارة, it's separable, and we don't use li, we say عند. أعندك سيارة يا أخي, and he says لا ما عندي سيارة عندي دراجة. حمزة عنده سيارة. حمزة عنده سيارة. Well, we have, in the last sentence we have the last rule. It's about ma. It's about ma. In lesson number 1 we have learned that ma means what. This word is also used as a negative particle. ما عندي, it means I don't have. ما عندي سيارة, I don't have a car. عندي دراجة, I have a bike, a bicycle. حمزة عنده سيارة. Hamza, he has a car. That's what Muhammad replied with. So there are so much to take in this lesson, in this dialogue. Well, I suggest you to read this dialogue at least 5 times, thinking about all of the rules that we've taken in this dialogue, because they are all important. And in the next lesson we will inshaAllah work on them using these exercises. So that's it for this lesson. 9 exercises. Alhamdulillah, we have a lot to work on. So don't give up, just keep going. I know this lesson turned out to be very saturated. There are so many rules in this lesson, but it doesn't mean that next lessons are going to be like this lesson. Some lessons are harder, some lessons are easier. This lesson maybe so far is the hardest one, but don't worry about it. You will benefit from this lesson, from the next lesson, and it's going to be easier over time. Yeah, it's going to be easier, because when you start learning a new language, your brain is getting used to this language. So many things that are not compatible with your way of thinking, but over time you get used to that and everything is getting easier, and you'll get to this point. Just stick it through. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.